All right, top of the news at 5:30. The race for the mayor of the city of Buffalo getting more crowded by the day. Right now, former Fire Commissioner Garnell Whitfield, State Senator Sean Ryan, and Buffalo City Court Judge James McLeod have declared their interest. Just yesterday, so too did University District Councilman Rasheed Wyatt. Rasheed, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
I appreciate it. We were scrambling to get this in, but as far as you know, this all went fine up to this point. Again, thank you for joining me. So yesterday, you announced that you were joining what is already a crowded race.
Yes.
We know that the acting mayor, Chris Scanlon, has not yet officially declared his interest, but he would then be the fourth or fifth person, and there still may be others. So the biggest question, what differentiates you from the pack?
Well, I think number one is my qualifications. I have a financial background. The city is in crisis financially. I take my 15 years of banking experience plus my 10 years as a CFO. I think I'm well qualified to assist in the financial aspect of it. And judging from what happened today, as the decisions that we made as a council, one against the controller, and I was the only one that stood with the controller, I think that we understand that you have somebody that's going to be in there that's going to be milking out for the best interest of the city of Buffalo and the residents.
So let's talk a little bit about that vote today. Of course, Councilman Wyatt is talking about the 6-1 vote. He was the lone dissenter today on the city's $110 million capital improvement budget. So tell me why you decided to vote no.
Because the controller implored us not to do it because financially speaking, will we be able to pay this? We don't even know where we are from a fiscal standpoint. We're at a $17 million deficit right now. So what is that going to be in May? And so I thought it was a smart decision to pause until we figured that out and then make the determination. We know we need sidewalks and roads and those types of things, but right now, if we can't pay the bill, we can't go into that debt because when the ARP money is gone at the end of this month, how do we help ourselves?
Your 6 colleagues who voted in favor of it would say, we decided to spend a little bit of money that is in our coffers to get more money leverage from the state and from the federal government. Council members who have supported the capital improvement project, the capital improvement plan, say that they could get as much as $200 million from the state, from the federal government, by spending a little bit of money. Now, that's how roads and streets and sidewalks get fixed. Where do you square with that?
Well, again, I'm going to go by the fiscal watchdog, the controller. They're the ones that are our fiscal watchdog. We trust them. They know those pieces, but they still thought we shouldn't do it. So at the end of the day, I'm going to trust the experts that this is what they do for a living, as opposed to people who are listening to someone. I want to lead and not be misled.
I hope you don't take this as a criticism, but you have been long since a critic, or let's just say a thorn in the side of Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown, of some members of council. You have definitely gone your own way. You've always stood by principles in the decisions that led up to whatever decision you were making. So I am curious about how you think that perhaps will set you apart from the rest of this mayoral pack. How would that kind of often critic for the city, often critic for the current mayor, how do you think that serves you well to be the next leader of the city?
Because I think people want people that are going to be independent, and that's going to sound decisions. I don't have an issue with anyone. People say, oh, you didn't like the mayor. Well, that wasn't my issue. My issue was the policies. At the end of the day, I want to make the best decisions for the residents of the city of Buffalo. We can't continue to increase taxes 2%, 4%, 6%, 9% and think that we're going to be able to keep the lights on. We just can't. So I think, again, I'm the best qualified for my experience and my community engagement, which is something that I've done consistently over 10 years, and my financial expertise. I don't know it all, but I bet you I know we get the people in the room to make the best decisions for the residents of the city of Buffalo so that we're not continue to increase taxes and taxes and taxes, and it seems as though our services are getting limited in how we do get things done.
Your financial experience, I imagine, would come in handy in the next several months, because the next Buffalo mayor will have to lead a city that is going to be, let's say, have financial struggles into the very near future. We're already starting to hear, and no decisions have been made, we're already starting to hear inklings of, certain percentages that need to come off of all departments citywide, or maybe there will be cuts in programs, or maybe programs will be scaled back. We're already starting to hear that. The next mayor is going to be faced with very tough decisions. How do you think you'll make that?
Well, again, it's going to be depending on the people. What are we going to be doing as far as the dollars that we're spending right now? We have to keep them on the street. We have to make sure that we have delivered services. But there's some fluff. There's some fat that we have to trim. And so I'm going to be looking at the approach that going to every department and looking at their numbers myself, working with the financial team, because at the end of the day, I want to have people who really have their finger on the pulse, and I want to make decisions based not on politics, but on how it affects the residents of the city of Buffalo. And I think that we have not done that well enough. That's why we continue to raise taxes. And if we don't tighten our own belts, how can we expect the taxpayers to be able to be dealing with what they're dealing with? And we just continue to say, spend, spend, spend. We got to find revenue streams, and we can't keep nickel and diming folks.
I know you're always keeping an eye on the budget and on departments and expenditures and things like that. Is there anything, you just said there will be a time when some departments need to cut and things like that. Is there anything that sticks out in your mind right now that you think is something where the city has overspent or maybe is misspending and where maybe there should be a different priority? Is there anything that comes off?
Well, the biggest thing right now on the table, which the controller did a report on, is the overtime. And again, I got to drill down on that number to find out what it is. I could have a knee-jerk reaction and say, no, we got to cut it. But I've listened to some of my financial friends and said, you got to drill down and figure out what it is, because they said crime is down. They said fires are down. So why do we have this overtime? And I can't eliminate overtime because I know that some of it is necessary. But at the end of the day, let me find out what the issues are within the overtime and address it from there. But that's probably the biggest number on the page.
One final question. You are going to still be a councilman in your district.
Yes.
We're still going to be representing your district, your constituents, your voters. And yet still, you are going to be running for mayor over these next several months.
Yes.
How can you assure the city of Buffalo and your voters, your constituents, that what you do will be making decisions in the best interest of the city and not as part of your mayoral campaign or to get votes in January, in June?
That's a great point. And I think that if people look at the tape, and I always tell them, look at the tape, look at what I spoke on. I'm not going to do something just for expediency. As they brought up the whole issue with the 33, I'm not doing, my comments is not based on getting a vote. My comments have been consistent. And that's one thing that I think I can show and through the tapes. I've been consistent. It's always been about the priority of the people. And so it's not going to change just because I'm running, because I don't believe in that, because what I say I got to deliver on. And I think what I've shown through the 10 years as council member, I've delivered on what I said.
University District Councilman Rasheed Wyatt. Rasheed, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Best of luck in the coming months.
Thank you.
We'll hear from you again.
Okay.